we're kind of similar to Tom Holland's portrayal. And when he joins the MCU, that's the big event at the moment.
That was a challenge because there's been so many good Spider-Man content, right? And finding something to set it apart. And you pretty much nailed it at the very beginning, which our goal was to make a moving comic book. So that was our goal, was to take a comic book and bring it to life.
I really love the inspiration that we use for what becomes the Oscorp suit. So being able to see that in Spider-Man media, we are a self-contained story. I think that there's a chance to build out our kind of Marvel universe adjacent to the sacred timeline, as it were.
Hello, viewers. I'm Karen Pereira from the Times of India with Jeff Trammell and Mel Sawyer. Hello. How are you, sir? And how's it going? Absolutely loved every minute of the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Thank
It
you.
it might just be one of the best Spider-Man in the cinematic universe ever created. And it almost feels like a comic book came to life, like literally. And as fans of the series, books, what can you tell us? Were there any specific comics, films, shows that deeply influenced this approach?
I would I would say just everything Spider-Man that came before us, right? Not just comics, but movies, cartoons, games, toys, everything Spider-Man we all embraced. And
Mhm.
when it comes to the comics, I think I would say Silver Age comics, the 60s and 70s, just the origins of the look is what kind of that was kind of like our guiding point for.
Totally. And in terms of storytelling, I've always, like Mel mentioned, that everything that came before it, but especially for me, like the '90s series, Spectacular Spider-Man, and the 2010s. Those are like series that I love. So those are definitely things that I was borrowing from, as well as various films and comics.
Okay. So this series chooses to revisit Captain America's Civil War as a narrative base. Um, well, what drew you to this as the starting point for your reimagined series? And would you say this version of Peter Parker is more like Tom Holland's portrayal than Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire?
Yeah, definitely. I think picking up where we pick up, we're kind of similar to Tom Holland's portrayal, and when he joins the MCU, that's the big event at the moment. So even just picking up there, kind of deviating to our own path, but still showing that like these are things that are happening in the world, I think does a great job of tying us to the greater MCU, but not needing us to like have Captain America show up every other episode or something. So it allows us to like have our setting, our backdrop of a world, but still focus on the story we're telling with our characters.
Uh, so as the series sort of brings back, several Spidey villains and MCU heroes, you must share your thoughts on the debate surrounding Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans' return in the MCU. Since your show also kind of brings back these familiar characters, familiar this, but portrays them in an all new light.
I think it's cool. I'm really excited. I
Yeah.
think, the fact that we're doing a show that's like, hey, it's this, but it's not, I would feel like a hypocrite if I didn't. So I'm personally excited.
We're just
Mel.
as excited as the fans.
Yep. Yep.
Then, as Spider-Man fans, which costumes, characters, were you most excited to see on screen? And also, Jeff, how did you approach, reimagining classic dialogues with completely new characters?
Oh man. I think being just a fan of those, it always made me like it's gonna be exciting to like write, oh, Norman and Peter having a conversation, or like viewing how Harry and Peter interact together. Like those are always gonna be like just such a cool thing to do. So I wanted to make sure that like each one of those feels special and unique. In terms of the costumes, I really love the inspiration that we use for what becomes the Oscorp suit. So being able to see that in Spider-Man media, like up on a show, was really cool for me. Mel, are there any that you want to speak to?
Yeah, I really like the black suit. Unfortunately, we don't have this. Uh, didn't make an appearance, but I don't know. Maybe in the future, hopefully one day. Um, Gosh, yeah, just like a new take on the homemade suit was a
Yeah.
fun part to explore. Um, Also, and then of course we ended up with plastic red and blue.
Mhm.
Okay. Mel, what did you want specifically for this series that, set it apart from so many other, interpretations? Well, even, into the Spider-Verse, you have familiar things, but then this was completely, you're blown away seeing this. And the shock and awe that comes with this series is something new and refreshing.
Yeah, that was a challenge because there's been so many good Spider-Man content, right? And finding something to set it apart. And you pretty much nailed it at the very beginning, which our goal was to make a moving comic book. So that was our goal, was to take a comic book and bring it to life.
Mhm.
Finally, well, there is so much reference to Venom, Doctor Strange, so many Avengers films. Does this series connect to the larger MCU, or is it designed as a self-contained story?
We're designed as a self-contained story, but because we are a self-contained story, I think that there's a chance to build out our kind of Marvel universe adjacent to the sacred timeline, as it were. So I think it allows us to take new paths and new risks and kind of see some things that we may have seen before, but again, change them up, which I think is so much of what the show is at its core.
Thank you so much. That's my time. Can't wait for season 2.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. We'll